You called for Cathy Engelbert's resignation from her role as WNBA commissioner.
WNBA finals, and so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened.
You hear Caitlin Clark there, how does that strike you?
I think what people need to understand, we need great leadership in this time across all levels.
I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments, and so all I'll say is just, it's obvious.
Doesn't strike me at all. Same reaction. Cathy Engelbert should resign.
Christmas morning 2025 was supposed to be quiet, a rare pause in a year that had been anything but. For the WNBA's front office, and especially Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, the holiday break was meant to offer a moment to breathe. After a record-shattering season that had captivated viewers while simultaneously dragging the league through controversy, racial tension, and locker room drama, the leadership desperately needed space to reset. The goal was simple: let the sports chatter drift toward the NFL, the NBA's Christmas games, or anything that didn't shine a spotlight on the league's internal battles. For a few fleeting hours, it seemed like it might work. Then, precisely at 10 a.m. Eastern, just as families unwrapped gifts and the sports world remained half asleep, a single notification hit, shattering the calm. It wasn't an official league announcement. It wasn't a highlight reel from the WNBA's own channels. It came from Nike. The post featured a 32-second commercial starring Caitlin Clark that would do more to undermine the commissioner's authority than nearly any scandal the league had weathered in the past decade. Titled From Anywhere, the ad didn't just rack up views, it ignited a panic behind closed doors. Reports from WNBA headquarters suggest the mood shifted almost instantly, from shock to full-blown crisis mode. To grasp why a sneaker commercial could send the league into turmoil, you have to look beyond basketball. This was about power, about influence, about control, dynamics that had been quietly shifting under the surface for the past 2 years. For decades, the WNBA ran on a carefully managed philosophy. The league always comes first. The collective is the armor. Every player is promoted equally, and no one is supposed to outshine the organization itself. Commissioner Engelbert has long defended this approach as a way to maintain stability and prevent chaos. Yet even the most carefully maintained system can begin to crack under pressure.
Well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? No CEO do you just put the base pay in there. You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything. Caitlin has the ability to make up to $500,000 just in WNBA wages this year. So of course they're just looking at a base which is collectively bargained, and actually it's low because she's the #1 pick. She'll make a little more than that, but she also has millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a US platform. So she's going to do just fine, as will the top players in the league, as every league does. But I realize we still have a lot of work to do, and it's all about the ecosystem.
When that commercial dropped on Christmas morning, everything changed. With its cinematic visuals, high-end production, and star appearances from Travis Scott and the Kelsey brothers, it looked more like a Hollywood trailer than a typical sports ad. Bold, confident, and unapologetic, the spot hit like a missile straight at the WNBA's traditional playbook. The message couldn't have been clearer. There was no collective, no balance. Just Caitlin Clark and everyone else. For Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, whose reputation was built on carefully managing the league's ecosystem, watching one player rise to near mythical status without any league oversight wasn't merely uncomfortable. It was a direct challenge to her authority. What set off alarms behind closed doors wasn't just the star power, it was the details. Phone lines reportedly stayed jammed all through the holiday. This wasn't a celebration of the WNBA or its history. The league logo barely appeared, if at all. The camera lingered on Clark, from quiet snowy driveways to impossible long-range shots, with cultural icons as silent witnesses. Every frame positioned her as something bigger than a player, something beyond the league itself. Insiders suggest Engelbert saw this as a rogue move. Usually collaborations with brands like Nike are tightly coordinated so both the league and the athlete benefit. This time, Nike was calling its own shots. The unspoken message was blunt. They didn't need the WNBA to sell sneakers. They only needed Caitlin Clark. For a commissioner, realizing that your league's biggest star might have outgrown the system designed to contain her isn't just unsettling, it's a direct threat to control. The timing made it even more combustible. At that very moment, the basketball world had been focused on the launch of the Unrivaled Unrivaled League, the new 3-on-3 project spearheaded by Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. Designed as a solution to the WNBA's off-season gap, it was an equity-driven, player-first league aimed at keeping elite talent stateside while opening new revenue streams for veteran stars. Engelbert publicly endorsed the initiative, framing it as key to the league's long-term growth. Behind the scenes, the top priority was simple: get Caitlin Clark involved. Every effort was made. Reports suggest she was offered over $1 million for a brief commitment, a sum that dwarfed her WNBA salary and underscored just how much her star power was desired. Clark declined. She passed on the check, the spotlight, and the hype, choosing instead rest, time away, and a lower profile, at least outwardly. That decision already sent ripples through the establishment, then came from anywhere. Its Christmas release coincided with the Unrivaled League's push to build momentum ahead of its January launch. In league circles, it didn't feel like coincidence. It felt like a calculated strike. When Clark opted out of the Unrivaled League, some old guard voices framed her as holding the game back. That narrative collapsed almost immediately. The numbers spoke for themselves. In just 24 hours, her 32-second Nike ad drew 6 times more views than the entire Unrivaled League roster reveal and launch campaign combined. For the league hierarchy, it wasn't just a setback. It was a public power shift that couldn't be spun away. It proved one thing beyond debate: Caitlin Clark didn't need the Unrivaled League to stay relevant. The Unrivaled League needed her. For Engelbert, watching her offseason strategy overshadowed by a single sneaker ad was catastrophic. It highlighted a long-avoided truth: fans aren't loyal to women's basketball as a concept. They're loyal to stars. And in this moment, their loyalty lay squarely with Caitlin Clark. That shift makes the commissioner's job infinitely harder, stripping away the leverage she's relied on for years. Managing a league is one thing, but managing its biggest star, that's a whole different game. Managing a player who commands the attention of an entire audience is an entirely different challenge. This situation also exposes a financial reality the league can't easily spin. One of a commissioner's core responsibilities is to present the league as polished, aspirational, and financially robust. Cathy Engelbert, with her deep corporate background, having led Deloitte and mastered the intricacies of balance sheets and optics, knows exactly how damaging the numbers can look. Seeing Caitlin Clark in a commercial that clearly cost millions to produce, wearing custom gear, and sharing the screen with high-earning music stars and NFL athletes creates a stark contrast. The gap between her personal brand and the league's actual financial clout is impossible to ignore. The production quality of that 32-second spot easily surpasses what fans typically see during regular season WNBA broadcasts. It quietly, but powerfully, reminds viewers that Clark is generating millions through deals with Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm, while the league she plays for pays her a salary that wouldn't cover the catering bill for that single shoot. For Engelbert, this has become a public relations nightmare. She's in the middle of negotiating future collective bargaining agreements while also trying to convince the world that the WNBA belongs alongside other major professional leagues. Every time Clark's ad runs during an NBA game or an NFL broadcast, it chips away at that pitch. The message is clear: the real money isn't coming from the league. It gives the Players Association a visual argument they can't ignore, proof that outside partnerships are creating immense value beyond league control. Suddenly, questions arise. Why are players being asked to accept so little when the commercial upside is massive? The optics make the WNBA look underfunded and slow to capitalize, and leadership appears reactive rather than proactive. Behind the scenes, murmurs suggest team owners have been calling Engelbert, questioning why the league isn't capturing any of the marketing momentum. This isn't about envy, it's about business. The league is being cut out of the profit stream linked to its most valuable star, while Nike reaps the benefits. And while that alone is significant, the more volatile consequences are playing out in locker rooms across the league. Enter A'ja Wilson, a 3-time MVP and widely considered the best player in the world right now. Wilson is also a Nike athlete and recently had a commercial of her own, but when Clark's ad went live, side-by-side comparisons exploded on social media. Clark's spot was cinematic, moody, and high-end. Wilson's was labeled minimal, flat, and low energy. The narrative spread fast. Fans began speculating that Nike was elevating one star while letting another fade into the background. Whether true or not, perception is everything for Engelbert. This commercial instantly created a wedge between the league's two biggest stars and their surrounding networks. It gave air to long-standing feelings among veteran players that the corporate system favors some at the expense of others, no matter how hard they perform or how many championships they win.
She was talking about Cathy Engelbert directly. She revealed private conversations, you understand, with quotes from this lady, the commissioner, about what she said that came across as dismissive, as derogatory, and unappreciative of the athletes that
Engelbert has spent the past 2 seasons trying to ease tensions around physical play, flagrant fouls, and the repeated targeting of Caitlin Clark. This ad did the exact opposite. It magnified every issue. When a rookie receives blockbuster treatment, it's nearly impossible for someone like Aja Wilson not to feel overlooked. And for other veteran players, watching one athlete get the full Michael Jordan-style rollout while they are left with stripped-down campaigns breeds a very real sense of dismissal. That imbalance fuels resentment. Resentment turns into frustration. Frustration eventually spills onto the court. The commissioner knows the stakes. If the 2026 season turns into a revenge-fueled atmosphere where veterans feel disrespected and retaliate physically against Clark, the product suffers. The focus shifts from basketball to drama, opening the door to injuries, controversies, and non-stop headlines, all of which ultimately fall back on Engelbert's desk. And that's before even considering the quiet but calculated power move embedded in the commercial itself. Nike's choice of cameos wasn't random. It marked a direct departure from the way the WNBA has traditionally marketed itself. League's campaigns have long honored history. Legends like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, and Sue Bird are brought in to highlight continuity and pay respect to the foundation that built women's basketball. That lineage matters deeply to the sport's gatekeepers, but in Clark's ad, those figures were absent. There was no symbolic handoff, no acknowledgement of the past. Instead, she was flanked by male cultural icons, signaling a different kind of narrative entirely.
Hey, Caitlin, how about from here?
Come on, guys.
She can't make it. No chance.
Caitlin, amigo, let. You got it.
I'm not even gonna ask.
Hey, Caitlin from here might be impressive. Am I right?
Whatever, Che.
So right here.
From there.
From anywhere.
Travis Scott, Jason Kelsey, and Michael Che from Saturday Night Live. Their appearances weren't just cameos. The message was subtle, yet razor sharp. Nike placed Caitlin Clark outside the usual WNBA narrative, not as the next star in line, but as a pop culture force operating on an entirely different plane. She stood shoulder to shoulder with some of the biggest male celebrities in the world. For power brokers, veteran players, and critics who have openly questioned Clark's fan base, the impact cuts deep. This move bypassed the league's internal chain of command entirely, sending a clear signal. Outside recognition now matters more than approval from within. Engelbert understands just how destabilizing that message can be for the very structure she's trying to maintain. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert relies on veteran buy-in. She needs alumni voices to stay aligned with the league's vision, but when the face of the WNBA is marketed as existing apart from its own history, it weakens the foundation. It fractures the culture. On one side are new fans who care only about Clark, and on the other are longtime supporters invested in legacy and lineage. Engelbert finds herself trapped in the middle, facing pressure from both directions. To fully grasp why this feels so personal, you have to recall the Lucky Stars controversy. In October 2025, reports surfaced of a tense meeting where Engelbert allegedly told players they should be grateful for the media rights deal she helped secure. The phrasing ignited immediate backlash, laying bare the delicate balance she's trying to maintain between power, perception, and player satisfaction.
First of all, I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. And I think what people need to understand, we need great leadership in this time across all levels. This is straight up the most important moment in this league's history. This league's been around for 25 plus years, and this is a moment we have to capitalize on. So that's honestly what I would say. I think there's, Fee said it all with what she said, and I think the points she made were very valid.
Even after attempts to clarify or soften her earlier messages, the perception lingered. Engelbert came across as an executive expecting gratitude from players. That moment became a symbol of power imbalance, a reminder of who controls the purse strings. The Nike commercial operates as a quiet yet powerful counterpoint. It doesn't need words to make its point. Clark's value is self-evident. She doesn't rely on approval or gratitude to succeed. Her influence, her revenue, her attention-grabbing power exist independently. The visual message is impossible to ignore. Clark generates buzz, she attracts sponsors, she moves money, and in doing so, the ad exposes a financial reality the league simply cannot match. Asking for loyalty or gratitude from players when league salaries are a fraction of Clark's external earnings flips the power dynamic. The league becomes dependent on her presence. She becomes the center of gravity. Engelbert knows the danger. Once an athlete recognizes that their individual worth eclipses the system designed to govern them, control begins to slip. The NBA experienced a similar scenario with LeBron James, but the stakes here are even higher. Clark's earning power dwarfs her peers, creating an imbalance that threatens the stability of the entire league. There's a broader, more unsettling question now looming. For years, the debate was whether Caitlin Clark was good enough for the WNBA. That question is settled. The real question is far more complex. Is the WNBA big enough for Caitlin Clark? The scale of this commercial, the from anywhere concept, the cinematic scope, it all points to something beyond domestic basketball. The message is global, expansive, borderless, and for now, the WNBA cannot match that ambition. Engelbert is painfully aware that the current collective bargaining framework is fragile. If players opt out and the league cannot offer Clark compensation that reflects her true market value, the consequences could be severe. Once that door opens, new possibilities emerge. Could Clark build her own tour? Could Nike or Amazon back a Clark-driven platform that travels city to city, pulling numbers that rival or surpass the WNBA itself? It sounds extreme, but the financial logic is already on display. A company willing to spend millions on a 32-second spot is ready to invest wherever the highest returns appear. Right now, that platform is Clark, not the Indiana Fever, not the league as an institution. This commercial is more than a promotion. It's a warning. It signals that the star can be moved anywhere, at any time, if the league cannot keep pace. Inside Engelbert's office, the reaction isn't just anger, it's anxiety. The fear isn't backlash, it's irrelevance. The possibility that the WNBA becomes a stepping stone in Clark's career rather than the destination is a reality the commissioner cannot ignore. Another layer of tension emerged with the campaign's global implications. The From Anywhere tagline hinted at worldwide reach, and the visuals reinforced that message. Snow, distance, isolation, appealing to an international audience. The backlash was immediate when fans in Brazil, France, Spain, and China discovered merchandise wasn't available in their countries. While this was technically a Nike distribution issue, the fallout spilled onto the league. Engelbert has long pushed for global expansion, speaking about Toronto teams and games in London. When the sport's biggest marketing moment fails to align with that vision, the optics are damaging, infrastructure looks unprepared, coordination looks sloppy, and elite talent seems to be moving ahead of the system meant to support it. As the league's business leader, Engelbert absorbs the blame, and with the 2026 season approaching, this commercial has already drawn a line that will define everything that follows. This moment is a stress test. It exposes how fragile the balance has become between individual star power and league control, forcing the WNBA to confront a truth it has danced around for years. Caitlin Clark didn't create this shift, the market did, the audience did, the money followed. When one player commands more attention than the system meant to contain her, the system has to respond or risk irrelevance. Cathy Engelbert is no longer just managing growth, she's managing pressure. Every choice from here on carries weight because the league cannot afford another moment where it looks smaller than its own stars. The 2026 season is no longer just basketball. It's about leverage, identity, and who holds the power. This saga is bigger than a single ad, a single player, or one holiday release. It's a glimpse into modern sports, where influence moves faster than institutions can adapt. The leagues that survive are those willing to confront that reality head on. At Courtside Leaks, we break down these moments before they explode into headlines. No narratives, no spin, just the full picture. Every move, every dollar, every motive they hope you miss. We cover every angle, every leak, every backstage twist they won't show you. Hit like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this video. Stay locked in with Courtside Leaks, your source for the truth behind the WNBA headlines.